Christmas story. Beloved sisters and brothers, when December arrives, we look more eagerly to the mountains. It's winter there now, and the mountain stream seeps through the white snow. There too, the oldest member of the household decorates images and crosses with green branches. Children bring the first blooming green flowers from the garden to decorate the Christmas Eve table. Father lights incense, the scent of which spreads throughout the house and blesses each room with it one by one. For Christmas, fresh bread is baked in various patterns, along with cakes and roasters, heralding the new day and the new year. Speeding fire wheels move down the hill, that everyone goes to church, gluing them to the pause and singing the carol Silent Night. After the midnight mass, the household gathers around the lit Christmas tree, exchanging gifts and best wishes. Imagine in Nuremberg, as early as the 17th century, a Christmas tree was at the center of city life. Christmas is a children's holiday. My mothers believed in the power of Christmas light. I remember that very well. Once wanting to be together was enough. Today you also need to know how to be together. Everyone is looking for someone perfect, yet they don't even try to be good themselves. Everyone wants love, but efforts without conversation, without responsibility, without effort. If not you, then someone else. A swipe of a finger and feelings. The greatest absurdity. People have stopped caring about others. They only care about how they look next to them. And those delicate hearts that truly want to love sit quietly and ask themselves, am I really asking for so much? And the road is sometimes foggy. I am not perfect, unsullied by the stars' light. I search for the way among the shadows, among the questions for answers. I don't have angel wings, but I carry dreams within me, though life weaves me with thorns. Thorns, a fire burns in my heart. I walk a rough path where stones cut my hands. I brighten the grey sky above with my dreams and don't lose hope. Will I be allowed to touch happiness just for a moment, just once? Will I remain in solitude as if in eternal timelessness? I don't know what's better, silence or struggle, but I walk through the fog, believing that tomorrow will bring me sunshine. When the Polish Pope's pontificate began, I was 17, but my life experienced an acceleration. I felt the need for tangible closeness and human solidarity. Here I would like to mention a fact that still overwhelms me since the probe's impact in 1959. The moon is definitely no longer a pristine world. For years, we liked to imagine the moon as eternal, unchanging landscape, permanently fixed in the grayness of the regolith, but this image is no longer valid. We live in a new era, the lunar Anthropocene, in which humans have become one of the main factors shaping the surface of our natural satellite. On Earth, the concept of the Anthropocene describes the time in which human activity has begun to match geological forces, changing the climate, sculpting landscapes, influencing the water and element cycles. And ahead of us is the lunar Anthropocene, the epoch of human beyond Earth. A new era on the moon has been underway since 1959. It's our fault. September 1959, the Soviet Luna 2 became the first human-made object to impact the lunar surface. This wasn't soft exploration, but a controlled impact. Yet it was this impact that interrupted the multi-billion-year series of natural meteorites impacts with the autonomous technological act. It's now about recognizing a simple fact. The moon is no longer shaped solely by meteorites and physical processes. For several decades, human technological activity has played an increasingly important role there. Crashed probe, lander tracks, abandoned instruments and gases from rocket engine. All this is gradually creating a new layer of the moon's history clearly distinct from the previous billions of years. The first extraterrestrial environmental is emerging, in which we are becoming a key factor of change. From a scientific perspective, this is a new era, not geologic and in the strict earthly sense, but a clearly distinct phase of the moon's development linked to our civilization. The Earth is infecting the moon with rust. Scientists are in shock. From that moment on, the history of the moon ceased to be solely a record of cosmic processes. An era began in which each subsequent landing, low orbit flyby, and or equipment left behind adds to the list of artifacts of human civilization on another world. Today, dozens of such episodes have already occurred. Over 100 probes, orbiters, landers, and manned missions have visited the moon. On the surface lie spent lunar modules, rocket components, abandoned experiments, part of shields, and even completely mundane objects, golf balls and bags of waste. The moon lacks the dense atmosphere, winds, and precipitation that erase our traces on Earth. Every footprint, every dent from landing, and every lump of regolith torn out by an explosion can survive thousands, even millions of years. This is precisely why the effects of our actions they are exceptionally lasting. Furthermore, there are those things that are invisible on Earth in the first photos. Dynamic dust clouds raised by the engine jets and spreading across the area, damaging or covering early traces. Metal particles and paint being torn off the hulls. Exhaust gases penetrating the tenuous lunar exosphere. This environment, composed of individual molecules, is extremely sensitive to any additional impulse. The Chinese aren't stopping. Now they want to jump into the craters and the lunar pole. Particularly delicate remain the permanently shadowed crater region where water ice may reside. A gas jet from the lander or a series of subsequent missions to a single location could easily disrupt local conditions that have remained stable for billions of years. This is one reason, and so on, to end these things. Since we are already interfering with its surface, we should start consciously managing it instead of relying on chance and the pace of the technological race. It's also a reminder that landing sites, from the Apollo missions to modern probes, have cultural and scientific value, like monuments that can be easily destroyed without appropriate regulations. The lunar Anthropocene is also intended to encourage cataloging all traces of human presence on the moon, from a single footprint to abandoned equipment and the remains of orbital objects. Each of these elements creates a unique chronicle of humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Leave no trace in a world where traces remain forever. This is why scientists are calling for clear safety standards to be established even before the new space race begins. This includes the responsible selection of landing sites, avoiding the disturbance of historical locations, limiting the number of hard tests, and assessing the impact of human activities on the lunar surface, including the ice there. Joint international agreements, similar to those in force in Antarctica, will also be necessary at the later stage. The concept of the lunar Anthropocene is intended to help organize these activities and initiate a widespread discussion about the protection of our natural satellite. They will make fuel from water and sunlight. No more refueling rockets on Earth. The Polish lunar excavator, after tests, they've made it as good as the Silver Globe. And here is the latest news. Philip Sonicke for the whole family. We have an idea for the most sensible gifts. There will be unwanted stress this Christmas. A foldable screen will set the iPhone back a decade. Apple is making a massive compromise. We have a chip factory in Poland. Google Translate will become smarter. No more strange results. Some bottles can bypass the deposit. They have to meet one condition. Łódź City wants a tropical jungle. It's a serious threat. Home cinema takes on a new meaning. Meet the Hisense L9Q. Today is the last day to save money. Fly to M-Obywatel, M-Citizen, Polish sites through internet. They've combined two of Google's best tools. It's sure to win. The Comet 3L Atlas has a strange tale. A secret NASA is keeping quiet about. First moments with the Honor Magic 8 Pro. This is how it takes photos. Samsung sold out of a new phone in one day. But due to the price increase, phones with 4 GB RAM will return. Tefal, Ixeo Power, or Ironin with Steam in a smart version. A robot beaten on video. This is the strangest lawsuit of the year. How do you remove a room from a cleaning robot's map? WhatsApp will log you out of your account and force you to use the new version. Cool, right? They promise high-speed trains for Christmas, but the revolution is already here. I feel like a pioneer. My dears, although my hopes are running out, I'm flying away to warmer climes. Yet I cling to the shore. I hold on to my departure, and I firmly believe that fate will change. For we live in this world to learn and enlighten each other. On New Year's Eve, I'd like to be at the Stara Biblioteka restaurant in Międzyzdroje, Mizdroj, northern west of Poland. And maybe you in New York. The view of the city skyline never loses their charm. And you, sister brother, take the cable car to the summit of Kasprowy Wierch, top of Kasprowy Wierch mountain. Experience unique moments surrounded by the snowy Tatra mountains. Breathe deeply and enjoy the mountain aura. Or go where others don't. Ski down Kasprowy Wierch. Titanal reinforcement provides stability in powdered snow and on challenging variable snow. This is your ticket to wild freedom. And I gaze far into space also. The three main theories for the origin of the universe are the Big Bang, which posits expansion from an extremely dense state. The universe formed approximately 14 billion years ago from a single infinitely dense and hot singularity point, after which it began to rapidly expand and cool, creating matter and structure. The second theory, steady-state theory, rejected. In the past, a popular alternative assumed that the universe has always existed in roughly the same state, with new matter constantly forming to fill the space escaping due to expansion. And third theory, the Big Bounce, suggests that our universe is part of an infinite cycle of contraction and re-expansion. Scientists describe other proposals related to this last theory, like string theory, It proposes that our universe may be one of many frames, membranes, floating in higher dimensions. The Big Bang may have resulted from the collision of two such membranes. Multiverse theory. It posits the existence of many universes, of which ours is just one of many that could have arisen from quantum vacuum fluctuations. According to scientists, these three theories are implausible. A poet will say, and yet there is such a soundless world, a rift, where the dead are smuggled across the border. My dearest, billions of years have passed, yet we are still present like the morning sun over the hills of Jerusalem. Many have long since joined the select company of immortals. By immortals, I mean those whose words never fade, whose heroes will still walk beside us. I cannot say whether immortality is a blessing or a burden. Some readers approach Palestine with respect, finding something essential to the human heart. Palestine, place of the birth of Jesus. Others arrive with scalpels instead of compassion, cataloging the limits they could never cross, criticizing imperial borders while ignoring the boundless territory of feelings they themselves had drawn within them. Consider this. Before us is a scene from Nazareth from 2000 years ago. Mary takes on the silence of the Nazareth girls. She likely walked the hills of Samaria, quiet and beautiful, a girl who drank the moon, and for some time now she has been accompanied, if I may say so, by an unlicensed magician of rural carpentry. At the same time, in the Nazareth area, there are little bosses everywhere, teenagers who certainly added character to the towns of the Roman province. During this time, Joseph's affection for Mary grows. Until one year, Jesus' future parents fulfill their civic duty and go to Judea for a census. Joseph was of the house of David, and then in Bethlehem of Judea, the baby Jesus is born. My dear one, today the world is ruled by logistical and economic problems. Who will pay for all this? War doesn't begin with weapons. It begins with a decision about whose life is less important. When death can be justified on paper, sacrifice is never shared equally. Those in power speak of necessity, honor, and duty, and the cost is borne by people who were never given a choice. They refuse to be an acceptable cost on this earth, and as the end of the old year approaches, they earnestly ask for the ending they deserve. And I ask for the ending I deserve. Not perfect, not dramatic, simply gentle. I've endured so much this year, moments I didn't speak of, forced smiles, decisions I made with a trembling heart. I've grown in ways even I didn't notice. And now, standing at the edge of the year, I only long for a peaceful ending, one that doesn't hurt, one that doesn't test me. Be good to me. Be good to the people I love. Be kind to the people I'm still trying to understand. May this month soften the sharp edges life has left behind. May it bring clarity, warmth, and a glimmer of hope for all of us. We've all been through something. We all deserve a gentle ending. Christmas is a children's holiday. Children also go to church to pray on Christmas Day. For God becomes human, coming in the vulnerability of a child to reach the human heart and lead it out of the slavery of sin and death. Christmas is the coming of the light of the world, which dispels darkness, indifference, and evil, which is hope for each of us. God becomes close. He can be touched in Jesus, which enables us to find the path to the Father. The courage to awaken from spiritual slumber and accept God into our hearts reigned at the end of time in the word of the best love, which became the driving force behind the coming of Christ, revealing that God is consistent only in loving. The evoked compassion of human civilization and the closeness of God, who knows our human fate, constantly gives us food for the thought and challenges us not to repeat the tragedy of God's rejection. Once again, God becomes man, coming into the world as the defenseless child Jesus, a sign of his infinite love and desire for closeness with humanity. The message of Christmas is about waking up from spiritual lethargy to find the light and salvation brought by the light of the world. God comes to the simplest people, shepherds, as an invitation to everyone to open their hearts to this love, despite the darkness and hardship of the modern world. By being born in a manger, God shows solidarity with human fate. The Jesus of Bethlehem is with us, already saying, only you decide how this will turn out. Only you can give yourselves the joy, love, hope, money, experience, and existence you desire. You are not at the impasse. You are only the thing you are at the impasse. You are not corrupt. You only think you are broken. Everything you judge, everything you see, everything you interpret, everything you fear is a projection. This is your life, and if you want to change it, the first step is to realize that you had power over it from the beginning. The first step is to say, I am ready to see this change. Jesus anticipated our change when he said, you can accept that my conception is supernatural, but you can also reject me and acknowledge that I was conceived like any other human being. I tell you that my Father is whole, and I am whole. If anyone sees even a part of a Creator's action and existence, let him know that he is observing a part of the whole. The whole is with God and in the gospel. Therefore, whoever wants to go and see the fullness must fully accept the word of God. My dearest ones, Christmas is approaching. We can give something to our loved ones as a gift, as if it were an extraordinary gift. I was 11 years old when I first opened Lives of the Saint, too young to know what I should think, young enough to feel. And what I felt was recognition. The carefully illustrated book contained truths about pride and perception, about the distance between what we show and who we are. I pondered the immense pleasure that a pair of beautiful eyes in the face of the beautiful Mary could bring. And even at 11, I understood that the author was speaking of the dangerous art of truly perceiving another person. I'm older now, but I still find refuge in the worlds the author created. When the present becomes too harsh, too rushed, too confident in its own superiority, I slip back into the wilderness to noble princes, pharaohs, and the elegant chosen ones, to the grounds of the medieval castles and fortresses. Not to escape reality, but to remember what endures, that character matters more than circumstances, that the good heart and the sharp eye are worth more than fortune, that there is a stubbornness within me that will never endure the fear of the will of others. This book taught me moral courage, taught me that even the wise must learn humility, that reason and sensitivity don't have to fight each other, that a woman can be both playful and principled, that wit is not incompatible with depth, that we can laugh at the absurdities of the world while taking its true sorrows seriously. And then life offered me the most astonishing gift. I stumbled upon the gift of the Polish Pope pontificate. John Paul II, not in the pages of a book, but walking the world. A man so early like the one this book had conjured that I had to blink and look again. That same reserved exterior hid a depth of feeling, the same initial pride that masked a profound capacity for growth. My study of John Paul II's life was so perfect, so precise, and its rendering of human complexity that it became the lens through which I learned to see. But it was the offer of the lives of, of the Lord's saints who taught me to look beyond first impressions, to see the gulf between what people say and what they mean, to notice the small gestures that reveal true character. Thanks to him, I now analyze people carefully, without judgment but with curiosity. I look for the contradictions that makes them real, the weaknesses hidden beneath the polished surface, the potential for change that exists even in the proudest heart. The author of this book showed me that it is worth studying people, worth understanding them in all the complex, imperfect, and yet magnificent human nature. The lives of the Lord's saints, Father Prokop the Capuchin, this work is an example of both a religious and historical book. Read this book. The author has collected the lives of saints and prayers to them, along with the spiritual benefits, in one place. This work allows us to become familiar with the achievements of a different saint each day. The book details each day of the year and shows which saint is commemorated on that day in the Catholic Church. Additionally, at the end of the book, we can find an alphabetical and chronological list of all the saints collected. As we know, saints should be role models, companions who support us in daily decision making. This work allows us to take a closer look at their actions and consequently incorporate their wisdom into our daily lives. This is how the author presents the actions of one of these saints, the Apostle of Ireland, St. Patrick, the Bishop. The holiness of his life corresponded to the great deeds with which it pleased the Lord God to make the name of this great apostle famous throughout the world. He prayed as if constantly, and it is worth admiring how, burdened with so much work, he had time for his pious exercises. He used to recite the entire Psalter every day, that is all 150 psalms of David, with all the hymns found in the breviary and 200 prayers. The author does not present only dry facts from the life and of each saint. He adds, he also evaluates the behavior and often praises the actions of the character he describes. You see, Father Jan Twardowski once wrote a poem titled In Heaven. You have to pass St. Peter with a heavy key, Anne with a lamb by her face, Teresa, who still coughs because she was freezing in the convent. You have to push through the martyrs who stood with the cross and created a traffic jam, next to the humble stork, next to Agatha offering salt, next to St. Francis with a wolf. He removes his muzzles so he can yawn. Next to St. Stanislaus with his Polish notebook. And I finally see my mother in the unburned house, sewing on a button that was constantly getting lost. How many heavens must one cross to find her? Tyrants cannot live where virtue reigns. Ignorance feeds oppression. Knowledge weakens control. Vice paralyzes resistance. Virtue threatens authority. Ethics undermines tyranny. Quote end. My dearest, only later did I become acquainted with the author Father Prokop Capuchin, born Jan Tomasz Leszczyński. He lived 18th 12 to 1895, was an outstanding Polish Capuchin, theologian, Mariologist, and writer, known for his numerous translations of spiritual works and his own books on religious themes. He was also a patriot and a participant in the November Uprising. He worked to renew religious life in the Kingdom of Poland, leaving behind a rich hagiographic and devotional legacy such as the Lives of the Lord's Saints. It is a wonderful Christmas gift, which I was unable to inform you about earlier, and which we may not find in bookstores. The immortal author understood something crucial, that three of four families in a rural village contain within themselves all the comedy and tragedy, all the joy and heartache, all the wisdom and madness that every family saga requires. He knew that the particular is universal, that to depict one place and time with perfect fidelity is to speak to every place and time. Happy birthday, dear Father Prokop Capuchin. The world you described has passed away, but the truths you conveyed remain, and for that, this reader, the first and the age of 11, still with whatever years behind him, remains eternally grateful. With admiration and love, faithful reader, Father Stanisław wishes you a joyful Christmas.